Hello and welcome to the Fabric Data Warehousing session. We are so excited to tell you all about the amazing announcements that we have coming to you. My name is Mara Kikatema, and I'm joined by my incredible colleagues, Joanna and Rakesh. We are some of the product leads on this team, and we've been working hard to deliver amazing innovations that will make your life so much easier in this new AI world that we're all living in. But before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about the Fabric platform. You've probably seen this slide before, so I won't spend a lot of time on it, but it's the unified data platform for all of your AI and BI needs, whether you will need to cleanse your data, analyze your data, understand real-time insights, or leverage agentic capabilities. Microsoft Fabric can serve you with all of those needs. Fabric data warehousing in particular is in an ideal position to serve the AI world. It features a lakehouse architecture with an open storage format. It decouples compute and storage. Storage is bottomless and inexpensive, and you don't need to create data silos to share data around. We're also serverless, featuring both hyperscalable stateless compute nodes for ultra-fast performance and stateful nodes with local SSD caching for faster insights. Fabric DW manages your data for you. You don't have to worry about vacuuming or optimizing your data. Things just happen under the hood automatically. And the best part is that Fabric DW borrows its query optimizer from SQL Server, the best query optimizer on the market, handling imperfect SQL automatically so you don't have to worry about it. And finally, Fabric DW is fully integrated into the Fabric platform with a single service layer for all of your administration, governance, security, and observability needs. Our customers love Fabric DW. Here is a quote from Epic, where they're using Fabric to transform how they serve their clinicians, their analysts, everybody within their organization. Now, if we take a look at the timeline here, data platforms have evolved in waves. Early on, it was about reporting and dashboards. Then we moved to large-scale cloud analytics. What's different now is the shift to AI-driven and agentic experiences. You all feel it every day in your everyday work as you develop applications and run analytics processes. Now, these experiences are fundamentally changing what people expect from their data platforms. Teams are shifting to dynamic and AI-driven interactions, and it's not just about data or more queries. The nature of the workload itself is different. There's a shift towards interactive experiences where users expect immediate responses and continuous iteration. Now, at the same time, scale and concurrency are increasing rapidly. These workloads are coming from applications, agents, reports, and pipelines, all at the same time. And this is what's pushing data warehousing to its limits. And as demand grows, traditional scaling approaches begin to show diminishing returns. Teams often compensate through additional capacity planning, tuning to keep experiences responsive. But this is not scalable. So when we step back, what the timeline shows is a clear inflection point. Something more is needed to meet your needs and support AI-driven workloads. Now, on the Fabric DW team, we took this feedback to heart, and this is where a fundamentally different approach is needed. We built a GPU-accelerated data warehouse in Fabric, specifically built for the modern AI workloads. Now, at a high level, what it does is quite simple. It accelerates analytics and AI workloads by executing queries directly on GPUs. What that means is that we process complex and large-scale queries much more efficiently. Now, this translates to, in practice, faster insights for all of your users. Whether you're running analytics queries, powering reports, supporting AI-driven scenarios, building analytical applications, your users get results much more quickly and consistently. At the same time, we made this GPU-accelerated data warehouse super simple to use. There's no re-architecting required. You do not need to rewrite queries or manage separate systems. It's designed to be easy and simple to use. Everything we built, just like everything else in Fabric, is designed with enterprise scale and reliability in mind. That means that the system is built to handle high concurrency and large data volumes while maintaining predictable performance at every step. What's especially exciting is how broadly it applies. This is not just about improving a single query or a single workload. This powers agents, applications, and reports, all at the same time, all using the same foundation. So instead of optimizing as a developer for one scenario at a time, you now have a unified platform powered by GPU-accelerated data warehousing that supports interactive analytics, AI-driven experiences, and real-time applications without trade-offs, without extra knobs and the need to adjust to meet the needs of today's scale and AI workloads. Let's jump into it. So here is how it actually works. Nothing changes for you. You continue using existing clients and standard SQL to issue queries. These queries flow through the SQL front end and they're parsed and optimized. Then they're pushed into the distribution engine, and that's broken down into different plans that are executed by the system. The difference is under the hood. Instead of relying only on CPUs, queries or portions of queries can be pushed down to GPUs. And this allows each backend to execute complex operations much more efficiently on these GPUs. Now, all of this runs in parallel across nodes and GPUs, which results in a combined final output and an output that your users receive faster than ever before. From a user's perspective, it's the same SQL surface area. It's the same query that you're writing. And it's leveraging the same exact architecture with GPUs on top of it to power your users with faster insights. Let's jump into the demo of how this actually works in the product. I'm a developer building an application on top of Fabric Data Warehouse, and I want to make sure my users get insights instantly, whether they're viewing dashboards or asking questions of an analytics agent. Here we are in Fabric DW. I'm going to go ahead and run a couple of ad hoc queries. At the bottom, I can quickly tell that there's a brand new option called Query Acceleration. It tells me that it's off, but I can navigate to Workspace Settings and under Data Warehousing, find the Query Acceleration option and turn it on. And once it's on, it's applied to every SQL endpoint and every data warehouse in this workspace. Using it is simple. I just hit run and I can see that my query is being accelerated. Monitoring gives me visibility into what was accelerated and what was not. From this brand new column, I can quickly tell that several queries have already been accelerated. Frequently run queries gives me even more visibility with a count of the total accelerated runs for a particular query. And when I return to the query editor and click on Query Acceleration, I'm given a bird's eye view of the value this capability is adding for my particular data warehouse. Roughly 89% of the queries were accelerated, which is huge. We're super excited to get this GPU-powered data warehouse into your hands and accelerate insights faster than ever before. Now that you've seen the demo, let's jump into how developers like you are actually using query acceleration in Fabric Data Warehouse, this GPU-powered thing that we just talked about. UNC Health is a healthcare company, and timely insights really matter to them. And they've been able to leverage query acceleration to help their clinicians and leaders access insights much faster. They're seeing 5x improvements on their query speeds. And the impact for them is that they spend less time managing performance and more time delivering meaningful insights to their users. And Benjamin Moore is yet another customer that's been leveraging query acceleration in Fabric Data Warehouse. And they've told us that it integrates smoothly and they've been able to leverage it and see noticeable performance improvements for analytics-heavy workloads within their Fabric Data Warehouse and within Fabric as a whole. And this means faster execution for complex queries. And their hope is to leverage this capability for large-scale reporting scenarios and empower their users with quicker access to insights. and support scalable analytics platforms to improve decision-making speed, empowering users better than ever before. We're super excited to bring this limited preview to you. GPU accelerated data warehousing can be in your hands. You can sign up and get access to build apps and deliver AI and BI insights faster than ever with GPU accelerated data warehousing. But that's not all we have for you today. I am super excited to introduce my colleague Joanna, who's going to tell you a little bit about all the ways in which Fabric DW is built for developers. Joanna?
Thank you so much, Meraki. I am super excited to talk to you today about Fabric DW and its developer capabilities that we're announcing today. Now, this one's a bit of a finally moment. We all know customers have been waiting for this for quite some time because let's be honest, alter column is pretty much table stakes. Up until now, making data type changes meant rebuilding tables. Now you can just alter columns in place. No rewrites, no disruption, no drama. It just works. Alter table inside a transaction. Here we're bringing transactional safety to schema changes. Today, when a customer makes multiple changes to a table, there's always a risk that something fails halfway through, leaving things in an inconsistent state. That's painful to fix. With explicit transactions, you can group multiple alter table operations together as a single unit. So everything either succeeds or nothing succeeds. If something goes wrong, all changes are rolled back automatically, which means no partial updates and no cleanup work after the fact. The result is a much safer, more predictable schema evolution, especially for those more complex changes. T-SQL in the Fabric Warehouse continues to evolve at a rapid pace, with recent updates introducing fuzzy string matching capabilities based on Levenstein and Jera-Winkler algorithms, new string concatenation operations, additional functions like UniString, date bucket, along with new aggregates like AnyValue that expand expressiveness and analytical power of the Fabric Warehouse. Scalar UDFs in Fabric Data Warehouse are evolving to support richer, more complex business logic, bringing procedural constructs like loops, multipath execution, and complex if-then-else branches into your SQL workflows. These are built for analytical scenarios and optimized for scale. They allow you to write cleaner, reusable logic without compromising performance. Super excited about this one. Lakehouse table health checks. One of the biggest challenges that customers report to us is that when they're using the SQL Analytics endpoint to query their Lakehouse data, their data in their Lakehouse isn't always in an optimal state. It often requires manual maintenance. Over time, things like small files, fragmentations, excessive updates and deletes build up, and that directly impacts query performance. The problem is, when performance slows down, it's pretty often hard to pinpoint why it happened. It turns into a vague something's wrong situation. It's kind of hard to know why. What we're doing here is we're making it a lot easier for you to self-diagnose. We now have an official customer-facing diagnostic tool. It's a simple stored procedure called SP Get Table Health Metrics. With a single command, you can quickly check the health of your tables and understand exactly what went wrong. It doesn't just tell you that performance is off. It actually pinpoints the root cause, whether it's fragmentation, small files, too many deletes, or delayed checkpoints. You get very clear and actionable insights. So instead of guessing or manually inspecting, you immediately know what needs to be fixed. And this isn't just reactive. You can plug this into your pipelines. So table health is continuously monitored, and maintenance can happen proactively at scale. The key idea here is simple. We're turning performance feels slow into actionable intelligence, making it much easier to keep your data optimized and your queries running super fast. Now, everybody that's familiar with the Fabric Data Warehouse knows that our out-of-the-box retention policy is 30 days. And this doesn't suit all workloads. Some customers want a higher retention period, other customers want a lower retention period, depending on what their workloads need. Retention allows you to time travel, do point-in-time restores, perform table clones for the data retention history period that you specified. So today we're announcing the ability to modify that default configurable retention setting anywhere from 1 to 120 days. This flexibility allows teams to balance operational needs with storage cost optimization, ensuring historical data is retained for only as long as needed. Now, this feature is a super exciting one. It's a real game changer for performance. I want to introduce today to you distributed bitmap filters and how they help speed up queries. At a high level, the idea is pretty simple. We run joins, especially between large fact tables and a smaller dimension table. A lot of rows in the fact table don't actually match anything useful on the other side. So we end up scanning and moving a lot of data that we just don't need. Distributed bitmap filters solve that problem early in the process. We take the smaller table, build a compact filter from it, and then push that filter down to where the large table is being scanned. That way, we can quickly eliminate rows that will never match before we even do the join. How awesome is that? The benefit is that we reduce how much data we need to move around the system, and everybody knows that's really expensive, right? So less I/O, fewer resource requests, and overall faster query execution. This is particularly helpful for selected joins, but it also improves performance for group bys, aggregations, where filtering early makes a huge difference. So if you look at the diagram, the green represents the rows we keep, and the red are the rows we would normally process but can now skip. The key takeaway is that we're doing less work upfront, which leads to faster queries end to end. This feature is coming soon, and we expect it to drive pretty significant performance gains to common warehouse workloads. Beyond scale, we've also reimagined the day-to-day developer experiences in the SQL editor. The small paper cuts that add up over a workday, and we've gone after them pretty deliberately. First, the new table overview page. Today, when developers want to understand a table, they end up writing throwaway queries like select top 100 just to get a feel for the data. We're adding a rich landing experience, which gives you everything in one place, full column metadata with data types. Second, we've streamlined query management end to end. We've added autosave controls, copy queries, import and export of SQL files, and bulk actions to manage multiple queries at once. Whether you're iterating on a single complex query or maintaining a library of dozens, the editor now keeps up with how developers actually work. Third, and this is the one we're most excited about, and I'm sure you will be as well, Copilot is now embedded directly inline in the SQL editor. So if you're stuck on a join, you want to optimize a query, or need to translate a business question into SQL, Copilot is right there in your flow. This is where AI assistance starts to feel like a true pair programmer rather than a bolt-on tool. The next pillar of this release is integration with broader Fabric ecosystem. We've deeply connected the warehouse experience to the rest of Fabric, which is super exciting. Start with cross-engine analytics. We've integrated event house endpoints and notebooks directly into the warehouse experience. That means you can run KQL queries against your warehouse data or jump into a Spark notebook for heavier transformations and data science workflows, all from the same editor. Next, copy job creation is now integrated directly into the editor. Now you can kick off ingestion and data movement jobs right from where you're already working. On the modeling side, Power BI integration now includes direct lake over one lake semantic model creation right from the warehouse. You can go from raw tables to a production-ready semantic model in significantly fewer clicks. And finally, we're adding support for Fabric ontologies, letting you define business concepts, hierarchies, and relationships over your warehouse tables. This turns raw schema into a shared business vocabulary, which becomes especially powerful as AI agents start querying your data and need to understand what things actually mean, not just what columns exist. From a single editor, you can analyze, model, and operationalize your data without breaking flow. Next up, we have some of the awesome new enterprise readiness features, which Rakesh is going to cover. Over to you, Rakesh.
Thank you, Joanna. I'm really excited to talk about a number of exciting enterprise readiness features. So first up, one of the most consistent feedback we have heard from our user community is the experience quite didn't hold up when you loaded a large warehouse with thousands of tables. The Object Explorer felt a little sluggish, expanding nodes took forever. So we've been hard at work addressing this, and we re-engineered it from the ground up, built specifically for scale. The new Object Explorer loads really fast and stays responsive even on the largest warehouses. In our internal testing with a warehouse containing over 10,000 objects with thousands of tables, views, and stored procedures, we saw almost a 2x improvement in page load performance. But we didn't stop just at the Explorer. We also rebuilt the results grid from the ground up. Wide tables with many columns and full result cells now render in a jiffy. We've added native support for large object types, so working with varchar max, var binary, along with column resizing, you'll see a substantially improved rendering performance. And finally, we are rolling out an enhanced intelligence version as well. This means faster suggestions, better context and awareness for your schema, and overall improved reliability for your warehouse experiences. Now, this is the feature many of our customers have been eagerly awaiting for, and the one I'm most excited about. I'm going to be talking about a set of exciting changes that are coming to the SQL Analytics endpoint. So first up, we are excited to announce the public preview of the new metadata sync. As you know, for every lakehouse in Fabric, there is a SQL Analytics endpoint created that lets you query the data in Lakehouse using familiar SQL constructs. Now, historically, once the data lands in Lakehouse, there's been a delay before which you can query. We've been working hard on a new version of the metadata sync built on a completely different architecture that considerably increases the sync performance, minimizing data staleness. Your data, once it lands in the lakehouse, will be available in seconds, not minutes, for querying. We can't wait for you to try this new capability. So continuing on SQL Analytics endpoint improvements, we're extending one of the most loved capabilities in the warehouse, time travel, to the SQL Analytics endpoint. Now you can query any data on SQL Analytics endpoint exactly as it looked at any point in the fast. The use cases are the ones that every data team runs into day to day. Audits where you need to prove that what the numbers were on a specific date, point in time comparisons to see how a metric drifted over time, investigations when a downstream report looks wrong and you need to trace it back. All of this, with this feature, it alleviates the need for you to create a snapshot or create a copy of your data for such critical scenarios. Now, how far back your data can go is governed by the retention period that you configured in your lakehouse. Rounding out the SQL Analytics endpoint story for this build, we are bringing enterprise-grade CI/CD support as well. This pattern customers have asked for is straightforward. Treat the SQL endpoint like any other piece of production infrastructure with version control, code review, and automated deployments. Today, that end-to-end experience is suboptimal, and we are closing that gap. So first, you have a Git-based version control for SQL endpoint schema, represented as DACFX database project. Your schema lives in your source control, every change is reviewable, and your endpoint becomes a versioned artifact like any other. Second, the integration with Fabric pipelines for deploying schema changes makes it the deployments from dev to test to prod with minimal manual steps. And finally, it is natively integrated with the Fabric CI/CD experience that ensures familiar database DevOps tooling for that the enterprise teams already use. Continuing on the theme of CI/CD, I'm super excited about this new announcement. We are adding support for pre and post deployment scripts. When it comes to enterprise CI/CD, there is prep work you have to do, checking prerequisite, validating environment, making sure everything is in the right state. And there's cleanup afterwards, applying permission, configuring settings, running validation checks. Today, all of those deployment lives outside the deployment cycle and in manual steps. That's where many releases break. With the support for pre and post deployment scripts, we are addressing these gaps directly. This turns warehouse deployments into something repeatable and low risk with minimal manual steps. The full release, the prep, the schema change, the cleanup, because everything ensures that this becomes one governed artifacts. And these two CI/CD changes are coming soon to all your regions. And shifting gears quite a bit, one of our biggest priorities is to enable enterprise customers in helping modernize their data stacks. So getting customers from their existing data warehouse onto Fabric is one of our key priorities for us. And the migration assistant is now generally available with a set of enhancements that will make this journey meaningfully simpler. First, the live connectivity is now generally available. The assistant now connects directly to your source system, eliminating the need for DAC pack extraction or any manual prep work. This removes one of the most common blockers customers are running into today when it comes to migration. Another exciting announcement we are having is that we now support .sql files as an input, which is going into public preview. This is when you have existing script schema definitions or workloads you want to bring across without going through a live connection. Essentially, we support a broad variety of sources now, whether it's Azure Synapse, SQL Server, or effectively any T-SQL database as a source. The same tool covers most of your enterprise migration scenarios. The bigger picture is the migration to Fabric has gotten much easier with significantly lower barriers. We are excited for you to try all these features out and begin your Fabric journey. Now, the set of enterprise features don't end there. There are some exciting workload management features that we are about to announce. I'm handing it back to Joanna to talk about them.
Thank you so much, Rakesh. So in the Fabric Data Warehouse, we've had intelligent workload management built in from the get-go. The system automatically routes queries based on what they're doing, whether it's running a select query for your reporting workloads or ingesting and transforming data. Different workloads don't interfere with one another. By default, resources are split evenly between select and non-select workloads. But in reality, some environments are heavy on reporting, whilst others are more focused on ingestion and ETL. With custom SQL pools, you now have direct control over that 50-50 split, so you can allocate resources in a way that better matches how your workloads actually behave. So for example, if you want to have that split more skewed towards your reporting workloads, you can increase the select workload group to 80%. Maybe you only need 20% left over for ingestion. It's all up to you. We're evolving our billing model to more closely match how real data warehouse workloads behave. We will be moving to a node-based billing model, so you're billed on the actual compute used to run your queries. Billing starts with a 1-minute minimum and then moves to a per-second granularity, which means the larger and more stable your workloads are, the more that initial minute gets amortized. In practice, for the kinds of long-running analytical queries common in data warehousing workloads, this results in much more predictable and efficient usage over time. Combined with improvements to our compute efficiency, this model is designed to better align with steady production-grade workloads. And importantly, this is just the foundation. We'll continue to build more efficiencies into the engine, so over time, your workloads benefit even more from this model without any changes on your end. So as your workloads scale and run longer, this model increasingly works in your favor. And let's talk about cache cooldown. Cache cooldown gives you control over how long your compute stays warm between queries. By configuring the cooldown window, you can avoid cold starts and keep frequently accessed workloads running with low latency. It also lets you balance performance and cost, especially for bursty or intermittent usage patterns. And because scaling remains automatic, the system can scale up or down based on demand without manual intervention. In short, you keep the performance benefits of warm queries while staying efficient when workloads are idle. Really, really exciting stuff. All right. So if you're excited about getting started, we've made that really easy for you. We've pulled together everything you need in one place, documentation to go deeper, a free trial so you can jump straight in, and guided learning if you want a structured path. If you're more technical, we've got architecture content to help you understand what's happening under the hood. And if you want to stay ahead, you can track what's coming next on the roadmap. And of course, if you want the highlights from everything we've just discussed, we've got the build roundups ready to go. So whether you're just starting out or already deep in Fabric, there's something here to help you take the next step. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed this session.